We are Green Room Radio. Welcome back to the show. Super James, Tru, and Domo
What's
checking
up?
in
What up,
for
what up?
another episode.
We have a special guest here.
There was
a
your first.
very, very important person out of the D and Circa, Mr. Richard Wilk.
Richard Wilk, the
Well,
man.
Nice to be here.
I was going to say like a
legend.
all things Vegas, but it's more like a all things gambling and celebrity and everything.
I've been out here in Las Vegas
Kind
since '05, and I've been following this guy on all the social media platforms. And
And some of the top ladies, if it's supermodels, UFC girls,
We had
ring
you there,
girls,
didn't we?
I know,
It's one of the top ladies.
and porn stars as well.
yeah, WWE people.
Yeah,
I see you got Mr.
Playboy Playmates, right?
Uncle Dana. Big
Yeah.
fan of Uncle Dana.
Dana's awesome.
So
So let's get a little background. I know you kind of been into it for a long time, multiple venues, multiple cities. How did you? I mean, what would you title yourself? Not just necessarily at Circa and the D, but just in general, like just host, all around host.
So I'm director of basically business development, and I kind of added to that buzz marketing. So what I did, I kind of mastered something no one was doing in town, and that's creating buzz. So when I worked for the Hard Rock for the longest time, you heard about Hard Rock all the time,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
I left in 2011. You didn't hear about it so much anymore. We were on TMZ every week because of the people that I had there, and that's what made it interesting. And from there, everybody needs a connection when they come to Vegas, whether they're celebrity or not, whether they're famous or not in some way or another, right? Businessmen, doesn't matter who. They always need somebody they can trust, because this is Vegas. It's not Hollywood, not Detroit.
No.
It's not
at all.
It's a whole nother animal, and everybody gets in trouble when they come out here because they want to be somebody they aren't, right? Or they want to live a life that they aren't living back home.
And I think there's always people looking for those people too that they can prey off of.
One thing I
Absolutely.
can say about Vegas that's very interesting is people are very loyal. Like you said, they have that guy, and I just noticed. I mean, I have tons of friends come, and it's like, this is our guy. For the most part, I feel like people stay very, true to that person.
I think it's hard to trust anybody these days because everybody wants something from somebody. And when
Yes.
you come to Vegas, you've been in the business. And when you come to Vegas, you need somebody, but at the same time, you don't know what they want from you,
yes,
right?
of
You don't
course.
know what they're going to ask for. So you don't want to say, yeah, I'll do that for you, Rich, and then I come back and say something. So I always say my network is my wealth, but I've never taken advantage of it.
That's
a big deal. I take care of all the Vegas Golden Knights, the majority of them. I don't ask them for tickets. I've never asked them for tickets. A lot of Major League Baseball players now, I do kind of talk to more because my son's going through all that. He's a freshman at Gorman, so he's in a baseball program, and he's got a chance to be possibly a major leaguer one day. As hard as he trains, right now.
I see that on your social media. You got a lot of pictures
He's that
of him.
1% that trains his butt off, So for me, anybody that can help me in that area for him to understand the process, I will talk to. But anybody else, I don't need them. I don't want to take them. I want to be friends. I want them to know they can come to Vegas and feel free and not have to give
There's
me
no
anything
debt
back.
there or anything.
No, there's
like
no
that.
debt.
Yeah.
There's no nothing except you come here. I'll keep you comfortable. You don't have to worry about anything. We'll control the narrative
Yeah.
when you come in. And if you get into trouble, we know that from back in the Hard Rock days. A lot of people got into trouble.
Man.
And they were worried about people having a phone and going, hey, for $100 you can sell it to TMZ.
Yeah.
Somebody doing something bad, so
What a great casino though. Back in the day.
back in the day.
Hard Rock.
Yeah.
got a
So
lot of
what
memories.
year where are you from originally?
So I'm from Canada originally. I'm from Toronto.
Got the accent.
So I came out in 95, fall of 95. My first job, believe it or not, I was subcontracted by Secret Service. I had a security team back home that we did. Wow. That's basically where I met a lot of my famous clientele, was protecting a lot of those big bands like Aerosmith, Bon Jovi.
You were
the
doing that in
Eagles.
Canada?
We were doing that in Canada. So if you came into Canada and you were somebody, my
your
team
company
got first dibs.
Yeah.
And I organized it. We took care of all the back kind of green rooms. So they'd have a director of security that came with them. They would call us, and I would arrange it, and we
So
would take care of them.
they brought the head guy with them, and
Yeah.
your team handled everything.
And our
else.
team would handle
So
everything.
going back even further, how did you get into that?
I grew up in the martial arts. You know,
Okay, wow.
I trained with some special forces guys when I got a little older.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was privileged to do some of that. So for me, that's what kind of developed into the security side of things, and doing the clubs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, doing the clubs was where we all started when we were 18.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we were athletes, you know, in school playing football, lacrosse, you know, and then we turned around and put it into a security team. And but what I taught all my guys were customer service. Kind of weird to hear that in a security team.
Right. Yeah.
The proper way to
But when
do
you're
it.
dealing with that clientele, it has to be.
You have guys come up to you and say, hey, I want to be on the team. Well, okay, let's see what your personality is. Like, what?
Right.
I can fight? No,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
not the point.
Yeah. Not when you're
You
dealing
got
with
to be
those
able to
type of
get your
clients.
principal out of there without having to worry about fighting.
Right.
And that's a big deal. So learning all that, we gained a great reputation. And between those big bands, I mean, you got the Rolling Stones, you got the Eagles, you got Pink Floyd, you got these guys that come into Toronto, and they rely on that, you know, and that's a big job.
Yeah.
And then we had the richest man in the world at one point in time, Bill Gates, who never wanted security, never even wanted to know that security was around him.
Wow.
But I was hired out from a guy from Carrollton, Texas. He's passed now, but a guy named Kevin Malott hired me, Erase Enterprises, to do security for Bill Gates.
So that was all in Toronto, though.
I was in Toronto, and because of him, he knew I was coming into the States. At the time, I was getting married to a Jersey girl at the time, making the move, and he found that out. He says, I got a job in Washington for you if you make it. I got my green card probably the week prior.
Oh, wow.
And I called him. I said, I got it. And I went down to Newark, New Jersey, stood in line like everybody else does at 5 a.m.
Now that had to be a process because I mean
that was
that's
a
a
process.
massive process.
Listen,
getting a
I had to
green
pay.
card.
I paid twice from the border. I paid twice just to try to get my papers, and the easiest way was when you got married to somebody. Listen, I wasn't looking to make the move. I just said I'll make the move. It's easier. I didn't care. I would have stayed in Canada for
Yeah.
But I made the move, and then knowing I had this opportunity, going down to Newark and standing in line, that was something. That was an experience because you see people.
And that was your
all the
first time
pictures,
crossing the border?
No, that was that. You know what? The problem was nobody knew. Everywhere I went, nobody had all the answers on how to get this done.
Yeah.
So I went straight to Newark and just, hey, we're going to do this. We're going to go in. But you see people sitting there, all different types of people sitting there with their pictures trying to prove that this marriage is real.
Yeah.
But that was not the issue.
It's like on construction paper.
But he told me, he says, you get this? And I called him. I said, I got it. He goes, great. You'll be my second in command of this detail. And we were subcontracted out by Secret Service, did a couple of the president, vice president's couple visits. They had a big thing called the White House Travel and Tourism Conference. It was on Sheridan on the Hill where they had a lot of CEOs from all the big travel companies, all senators, governors, all these people there. I've never seen 1,500 people push close to the stage, whether Republican or Democrat, it didn't matter who you were. You wanted to shake the president's hand.
Yeah.
And that was Clinton and Gore at the time.
Wow.
So, and they came separately, and I'm here by his hand going, and it was a hell of an experience,
Bet.
you know. And from that, I stayed in Washington back and forth.
Just how close were you with Clinton? Did you did you know
Remember
If you've
Did you see
been
Monica?
following me, you know I don't spill any secrets.
of course not.
Confidentiality
I'm
is
like,
everything with
did
me.
you know Monica at least? Was she your homegirl?
That's why he's still in the business because he's not going to
You're
talk about
absolutely
that.
right.
Yeah, exactly.
You're absolutely
So
right.
when you came over, so basically it was what you were doing even in Toronto. That's armed security. Like
No,
tactical?
actually, it wasn't. You're not
No.
allowed to be armed in Canada.
Oh, yeah,
You
that's
can't be
right.
armed.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
I even
right.
helped
wow.
teach some of the police with, they call them extendables, and they're asps, where you extend it, and I had all my guys carrying those. So just in case.
Yeah, I've seen those before. Those are kind of wicked
It's
little.
harder than a crowbar.
Yeah.
Basically, when you get hit by it. So
So is it Canada's no guns
no
like
guns.
Australia?
We were licensed with the OPP, which is like here the NHP.
Yeah.
We were licensed with them, but
So when you came over to do like the White House type of detail, did you have to
I
get?
can't get into that right now. But
Got it.
yeah, I'm licensed carry concealed and everything, so it's great. So
Okay. Got it. So
we'll
then,
leave it at that.
So then, how did you get from there over to Vegas?
So I was in Atlantic City. I ended up because of that was my background learning about the casino business. My father, who passed a few years ago, when I was 8 years old, I came down to Vegas. First time, Las Vegas Hilton. He was a gambler, just a junket
And the
player.
Hilton, just to be sure, it's Westgate.
Westgate.
now?
Westgate.
It's Westgate
Yeah.
now.
Yep,
And I
gotcha.
worked at Westgate at one point in time
Okay.
for the Hilton. So,
Yep.
But I came down when I was 8 years old and got to experience the VIP lifestyle because he was a junket player. And back then you could have a $10,000, $5,000 credit line and you were a big player.
So
I don't even know what is junket.
Junket is just like you have independent reps now. They call them more independent reps, which is an independent host that doesn't work for the casino directly. They work for a bunch of casinos.
Got
And
it.
they'll bring a bunch of people in that are all gamblers, and the casino will offer them to bring them in.
Gotcha.
Wow.
And they pay you to bring them in.
I need that job.
That sounds,
And you're great at that job. You got the personality for that.
that sounds like a fun job.
So it was good. It was great. So because I had done that, I had some connections in Atlantic City, and Atlantic City opened up for me. I worked at one place for about 6 months, and then they were putting this whole new department together at Harrah's. So I went over there. We were just killing it. I sent out a letter to 1,100 people. I got about 700 in from that 1,100.
Wow.
It was crazy. We were
Let
killing
that,
it.
so this was
Harris has
Great
kind of always been the
computer
spot
internet.
in Atlantic City.
It was.
You
It
know,
was.
Pull
It
After
was.
Dark.
It was
and all
cool
that stuff,
back then,
yeah.
but I mean, I had New York guys. I had everybody coming in. Like when the guy can lose a couple 100,000 and shake your hand and say, "Thanks, Rich. I had a great time." Like,
Yeah. Like,
how
wait,
do you
what?
say that?
Yeah.
How do you say that? It's all relative. It's like us losing 200. You know,
Right,
Like,
right.
It's all
Yeah.
relative. But I was there for about a year, and then I got fired. I got fired from this place. I'm like, what? And I realized they were trying to disband the department because we were all making too much money.
Oh wow.
And it was a sweet
Very
deal.
common
It was a
here
sweet deal.
and there.
Yeah.
And I saw a little ad that was like a two-line ad that said 2 executive hosts needed for a Las Vegas casino strip property. So I called. I sent it in.
Yeah.
A couple weeks go by. I'm like, shit, I should have heard of something.
Yeah.
And sure enough, I didn't. So I called and I found out, did all my due diligence, found out where it was. And then sure enough, I called and I got this girl named Jamie Kellett. I mean, I owe my life in Vegas to this girl.
She killed it.
She killed it for me. I said to her, listen, Jamie, I said, I'm qualified for this job. She goes, oh, well, they're coming out in a couple of days. They've already picked 19 people out of 250 applications that they're meeting with. I said, listen, can you check to see if you got my resume there? She goes, it's not in the pile. She called me back, said, it's not in the pile. And I said, listen, can I fax it to you right now? She goes, why don't you do that? Fax it to me right now. I'll show it to the director. If he likes it, he'll put it in. She calls me back. She goes, he looked at it, put it in the pile. You're number 20.
Wow.
And it was the owner, son of the corporation, which was the Mandalay Bay Corporation. It was Circus. They turned it into Mandalay Bay Corporation, the Ensign and Richardson family. Mm-hmm. And it was Bill Ensign. Came in with the director of marketing at the time. Wow. And we sat in a suite at Caesars for 2.5 hours just shooting the shit and having a great time. I got a call 3 weeks later. Said, listen, says, how would you like to come to Vegas? I said, I'd love to. He says, you're the only one we hired.
Wow.
I said, "We pay my moving expenses?" He says, "Yeah, I'll give you an allowance of $3,500." Okay.
On the way.
I get to Vegas, so I get to Vegas.
I'm from Detroit, so I still would have got a U-Haul and everything.
I did go to U-Haul. Are you kidding me? Called my buddy down from Canada, Neil, and he came down and helped drive.
Some game trips right here.
So they
I
gave
need
me
to start.
they gave me a good deal. They gave me a 60. It was December 96 when I came down. So I was the youngest executive casino host in the city at that time. Yeah.
And what that was just Mandalay Bay, or what properties
I was at
was
Monte
it?
Carlo. That was from Monte Carlo.
Okay.
I love the Monte Carlo was great.
I always
Carlo.
loved the energy in there. It just had a
It was
different,
just set up perfectly.
Yeah.
The elevators were here, the front desk was here, all the restaurants are on one side of the casino. It was just
Yeah, the layout
beautifully
was-
laid out.
yeah.
But Bill Ensign, I got in. I started working the week of New Year's, right after Christmas.
And how old were you?
I was 27 years old, and I was working the party. Every single executive came up to me and says, "Man, you better work out." So what are you talking about? And then the GM came to me and says, "Yeah, Bill went out on a limb with you."
I'm sure no one wanted to. They're
Against-
like, this,
What's a kid from
what's
Atlantic
this kid
City
gonna
going to do? You're
Yeah,
exactly
yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
What's this
100%.
kid going to do? And everybody said I hope everything turns out well. And then later on, probably 6 months later, I get a call up to the office. And Bill Cleek, who was the director of marketing at the time, and Bill Ensign, is sitting right there in the office, and he goes, you effing made us look great. I'm like, see, I told you. I'm thinking I'm getting fired or something.
Hard drop.
I said,
for
see,
that
what are you worried about? I told you. But what I did, I said I was going to come to town and make a name for myself, but keep my integrity along the way. And I did that. And I would go in an hour early, and I was working a 6 to 2 shift. I would go in at 5, and I wouldn't leave till 4.
So at that point, were they giving you clients to take care of? You weren't bringing in your own.
I was
They
bringing
were
in clients.
Oh, you were doing
I was
that as
bringing
well.
in clients,
So
but
when-
I got to meet them on the floor as well.
Oh, okay,
which is
okay. So
great.
it's like a split. Yeah,
Oh,
because
I
you're
was
building
meeting clients,
lifetime
but
clients.
This
at
got
that
me into
point.
trouble though.
Yeah.
Because I'm sitting in a meeting one day, and I'll go up. I take care of people like no one else does, and I still do that. I pride myself that way. Customer services has been lost in Vegas for a little while. There's only a few of us left that do it.
Yeah.
And it stands out when you do it. So you get more clients because of it.
Caught my attention.
So I mean that's a big deal.
Yeah.
So at that time we're sitting in a meeting, and I would go up and take care of other people's guests because they weren't around. Right?
They're not doing their job.
Well, whether or not they're just
Just
not in
not
pitch
there.
or they're not
Yeah.
there.
Right.
So I would take care of them. Well, you get coded to people.
Yeah, they look like you're stepping on
Coding was-
toes.
yes,
and-
and I was a young guy, and everybody was over 40 at the time.
Yeah.
So for
they
me, it
already
was
don't like you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Bill walked in. When Bill Ensign walked in the room, it was like everybody straightens up. Like it was the owner's son. I mean, he was one of the owners.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, "Listen, we're getting a lot of complaints from customers that hosts are not answering their phones. They're not taking care of their people. And if you don't start doing it, I'm going to fucking fire all of you. And I'm let this young thoroughbred take care of everybody."
So now they really hate you.
Now you put a target on my back.
Yeah, exactly.
I
They
went into his
already-
office after. So what are you doing? He says, "Well, they got to learn. You're taking care of everybody. Everybody wants you to be their host, and I know you can't do it, but you're doing a good job doing it." So it's from that moment on, I was like, great, but it caused a lot of rifts.
Oh yeah.
I worked with a big Latin guy named Eddie Milan. That was just by the end of my contract of 3 years, he didn't want me being there anymore, and he was like trying to get
Anything
me
to get you out.
Oh, he threatened me while I was at work one time. We went to
I was gonna say that was probably a bad time to have enemies
So
in Vegas too.
when you sent the resume in, so you just had, as far as like the casino experience, it was just from Atlantic City.
No, because here's the thing. So we used to have charity casinos in Toronto. Charity casinos where nobody knew anything about casinos back then. Well, I had a business degree. I was going to college for business, So for me, I just read a lot of books, and I've been to casinos around the world because of my dad.
Yeah.
So my parents, whenever they traveled, I went once a year or twice a year with them. So I got to see how casinos worked in the islands, in Vegas, Atlantic City. So I got to do that. I also had the junket stuff that I did. Junkets are very powerful because Harris gave me their list of all the people in Ontario to put on planes and bring down.
Whoa.
So we did 2 planes a month for a full year. And one would be a day trip where you'd go down in the morning, come back at night. That would be 50 people. Then we'd go down for the
to Atlantic
weekend
City?
to Atlantic City from
Okay,
Toronto.
okay.
And then we take a plane of 110 to 115 people on a Friday and come back on Sunday.
Those are the big dogs.
Well, you could also pay to go.
Oh, okay. So
You
it
also
was
be a lower player, but you got to pay for your trip.
Well,
Right,
a lot of what you were saying, I feel like, and I mean, I don't know for sure, but when I came out here, I was seeing that a lot. I remember they would, do these. It was on a way lower level, but they would do these. We're going to bring San Diego to Vegas, and they would send buses.
Well, there's a big host in town that's an independent guy, Steve Sear. He's like my mentor. He's a couple of years older than me. So that's why I say mentor.
Where's he at? Yeah,
But he's
Independent.
He's an independent.
Independent.
Him, Mark Gord, big independent guys.
Do you know Joe Palazzolo?
Yeah, Joe P.
He's Joe
Joe
P's
P's
from
awesome.
today. He's
Joe P.
Detroit, man.
Joe
That's
P's
my
awesome.
guy.
Him and his wife, they're great people.
So yes,
Yeah.
this
I
is
worked with him at Hard Rock back in the day.
Yeah, so this is something that I was speaking with Domo about, and I said, she didn't bring it up to you, but I was like, Donnie Rinn from Barry's,
yeah.
he's one of my good friends.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he's like, why would
Small
Richard
world.
believe
I
that
should
this
bring it
old
up.
man? And I said, I've been hanging out with Donnie through Joe P. Joe P always, because he
Donnie's
was
the best.
Yeah, because Joe P was always like, he became a really good friend of mine. And so he'd have people come to town, and he's like, hey, man, these these people, I want you to, hang with them. They don't hang like these people do in Vegas, but we want to put them with you. So I'm like, Donnie's like a very odd match for me. But
you guys get along. Him in cowboy hat, you in a turn around.
I'm like, I actually.
I told you we came to the opening.
Yeah.
He invited us.
Oh yeah. Joe P. actually. Yeah, I actually haven't talked to Joe P. in a while, but yeah, Joe P. Connected me with so many people.
Joe P's like that though. He's a good host. He was always good at what he did.
Yeah.
He was like.
That's what I put. I put you in the same category because the same attention that I caught with Joe P. was the same kind of feel that I had with you. I'm like, this guy's just, again, I love Detroit people, but I just watched him and I'm seeing him. I'm like, this is just a good guy. Every year he's never changed. He's still same Joe P. Yeah. Same, the people I feel like that he brings into my circle are just like him.
So that's what I did. I took one step further than all the hosts in town.
So the seer guy that you said, where?
So Steve always took care of whales. Like he took care of Larry Flint, all the big guys.
Wow.
He's an independent guy. So anytime a documentary or a magazine would come to town, it would be either him or myself who they'd come to talk to.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of times to Steve, and then Steve would push it onto me, say, "What, you want to do this with me?" We also did stuff where we talked to the master's class for NYU business school, Stern Business School.
Wow.
We do that once a year. I get them for an hour. Steve does them for a little bit. I mean, it's just unbelievable. I did it with Cornell with him as well. 2 major universities,
crazy.
2 major colleges.
Yeah.
So for us to be able to do something like that, I mean, I love that.
That's big business for someone like a Vegas person to be, a school wanting that to happen.
It's different. And that's what Steve always had whales. He wrote a book. I wrote a book. We always did something similar.
How big of a jump was that for you? Like, I mean, I already know without even asking, but from coming from Atlantic City to Vegas,
it was awesome.
Was that a massive leap?
No, because it wasn't, because to me, I did it from Toronto to Atlantic City. That was the massive.
Oh, that's got it. Yeah.
So
Definitely.
for me, it wasn't that bad. It was the only thing that happened within those first couple of years is that I got a divorce, and she went back. I basically sent her back to Jersey.
What age were you at that?
I was probably 1999, so it was just a couple years after we had gotten here.
Okay. You had just one divorce?
Yeah, I had one divorce. So
okay. Was it caused by Vegas?
Yeah.
He didn't even think about that one.
Oh.
Did you bring it? Did she come out here with you?
Yeah, but I think that was another thing too. They always used to say, take a Jersey girl from Vegas. I mean, from Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
You can't take a girl out of Jersey. It's from there. So, but listen, it all worked out well. I met a girl that became just my best friend, and it was great. We had kids together, and we got married, and it was great. She understood my job and taking care of beautiful women like Onyx here. What woman's going to put up with that, right?
Yeah.
She's got to be pretty
A
secure.
good
in
one.
herself.
Hey, I just heard you say. You say kids. You have multiple.
I have a daughter who's almost 17. She's 16 and a half.
And your son?
He's 15. He's
15.
He's bigger than me.
Teenagers.
That's a baseball player.
Yeah.
A baseball
He's
player.
6'1", 195. Just turned 15 in July. It's a big boy.
Yeah, I see you get him around all those pretty ring girls and stuff.
No, that's Dana. Dana does.
At the UFC event.
Dana really treats him very
So, are
well.
both the children with the same
Yeah.
mom?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's great. There's no arguments. We really don't fight about anything. There's no drama. There's no issues. I run from drama and issues, so it's great in my job.
That's probably how
How do you feel about that, raising kids in Vegas, especially you being around
It's not bad.
that side of the industry?
Think about it. If you live in certain areas, so I live up in Summerlin, basically right around the corner from Gorman. So for me,
You're not
it's
in
not
Vegas.
like I'm in Vegas.
Yeah, that's
from
what
my
I
balcony.
think.
I see the strip, and it's way over there.
Yeah.
When I drive in, it's the adult playground.
Yeah.
When I drive out,
You're
I'm a
done.
family
I'm
man.
done.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
My phone
100%.
doesn't turn off. I'm always on my phone.
Yeah.
But my escape now is going to baseball games.
Yeah.
Taking him to the baseball game. I don't care if I work till 2:00 in the morning. I'll have him on the field by 7 a.m. That's my escape now. I'm older now. I used to joke with my wife, saying my phone used to be full of pretty girls. Now it's full of dogs and kids. It's like, that's it. I mean, but it's fun. It's
How about
It's
the
good break. Good break.
How many
in the-
gray hairs has your daughter given you?
Yeah, when she was 13, it basically was the worst.
Oh, no.
When they turn 13, anybody that has a daughter and they're going to be 13 anytime soon, you got to
Get
threaten
ready.
them a couple times
Get ready.
because they think they know everything.
Oh,
Yeah.
They want to
Oh,
run.
yeah.
See, here's the problem. And parents out there, I'm going to tell you this. Tell your 13-year-old when they say they want to run away, take their iPhone away from them, take their iPad away from them, take everything away from them, say you're going to go drop them off in the park. And that fat old man in a white van that's driving around at 2 o'clock in the morning looking for little girls is going to take you. And I got hard on her because I've seen it. I've been around that working for the government for a certain amount of years. You see stuff like that, right?
Yep.
And it's bad out there. So when you see stuff like that, it's terrible. Said,
I mean,
"You're
you
gonna
could
be
probably
gone."
stop it just taking the phone away. I feel like once
No,
the
they
phone and the
work all the
iPad,
time.
you know,
They don't realize that when you leave, you don't get nothing. You don't
Yeah.
have anything. You don't have a
Right.
support system anymore. And it's okay. Listen, they learn. They're just, we were all that way.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? We were all
It's
bad.
isn't it interesting he said that? So I have a 17-year-old, and he goes to Coronado, and again, just at some point over this last couple years, he went from athlete and great kid over into now his
He's
whole
like
focus-
True now.
Well, yeah.
No, he's hard for
He's became it's really difficult because he's became really engulfed in weed, and that's all he thinks about. That's all he does. It's a really weird problem, and it's crazy that what you said, because my sister, she still lives in Michigan, and she's like, listen, you need to fucking take his phone, everything that is important, you need to take it. And it's, like I'm in this stage where I'm just like, I mean, shit, I was doing worse than weed. Like, I'm
Like, he's
I'm
cool,
like-
he's good.
I'm
he's
like,
good.
maybe, but I'm just like, I'm like, how do you, he's been such a good kid. It's like, I'm like, I can't step in and, I'm like, when I was that age, my mom and dad kicked my ass. And that's how I learned.
Can't do that these days.
And I said, now at his age, it's like, I want to strangle him. But then I'm like, I don't know what to do. And, my sister's like, you have to strip him of everything.
Yeah.
And
Unfortunately.
yeah. And then, so I
And,
just,
and the influences around him, too. What he surrounds himself with is a
100
big deal.
Well, and that's what's crazy is, I have a really good relationship with his mom. And of course, he relates to Domo because she smokes weed, so he feels like that's his weed buddy. So
He
he'll
might be the one to get through to him. This is not the right thing to
That
do.
can either be a good thing or, as they're smoking.
Well, see, when he gets in trouble, then I'm really the one that he hits up.
Yeah, no, it's
That's good, though. At least he's got somebody you can trust to go to.
Yeah,
if
it's
he's
better
not
than one of
coming
these
to you.
friends that-
Yes,
that
that's
are
actually a
bad.
good thing.
Yeah, me and his mom, we've always gotten along really good, and she's just like, I don't know what to do with him. She's like, it's just he's out of control. And then I look at his friends, like you said, the circle of people, and they're just like little dorks. And I'm like, I don't even
It's
know
the
if they're.
influences around.
Well,
Yeah, I'm
for-
like, I don't know.
He has these older friends from the football
Yeah.
football
So,
team.
but I'm just like, and that really scared me because I just didn't know about raising kids in Vegas. Because his mom would always say, hey, by the time he gets to 8th grade, I'm going to move over to California or just get him in a good school. But, I know over there at Bishop Gorman, that's the spot, and I would,
They're
had
strict.
I did it over again, that's exactly where he'd be. But I didn't expect him, to be here that long. I thought, that they were going to shift over and, because I grew up in a town, the football games, the baseball, like you said, that's everything. And here in Vegas, like from what I've seen with his people, it's just like they're not really that interested. These kids out here, they're 100
The
miles
whole
per hour.
culture's changed. I mean, everything's changed. But I got an idea. Why don't you, if they're the football guys, why don't you just send her over in a nice tiny little outfit? Say, listen, if you want to know me and you want to be friends with me, make sure he's not
Oh,
These
my
little
God.
idiots always try to smoke with me.
Good. They can smoke with you, but he's not allowed.
Oh,
You tell them you're not allowed to smoke.
He's going to hate her
Go
in
through
a
the
couple of
friends.
weeks.
No,
They won't even know it came through you.
There was one time they were like, "Yeah, can you hit this bong?" And I just did it real fast, and they were like, "Whoa."
You have more power than you think.
No, I know. I tried telling him about a haircut, like making it look presentable, and oh my god, I nearly got annihilated.
Yeah,
because-
he's in a phase, like this stoner phase. And like I said, I've never been a stoner, not really a weed smoker, but I'm just like, I don't get it.
Is he doing anything wrong, though?
No, actually,
Is he just smoking
the
weed?
weird.
Well, that's why I said we don't.
Posts.
I've seen some
He
stuff
does
of.
these little weird things, but no, actually, remember he got into music, so
Yeah.
he's recording.
Why don't you
some
listen? You're a
stuff.
pro at that. Why
Hey,
don't you get him into that and get his mind off of weed so much?
We had him on the ball. He was actually going to work on our show with us. It took me a lot to, our contact over at Shade 45. They're like, oh, you can't have somebody that age with you guys, and he's a 17-year-old in a 25-year-old's body because he toured the world with us.
Grew up fast.
And so it's just it's a really.
It could be worse. It could be a lot worse. So it's not.
That's why I had to go that, because I'm like I have a young daughter, and I'm like, oh my god, I can't even imagine like what a girl's gonna.
But I was gonna say that's gonna be a whole different world for you. It's
my
like,
daughter,
you can't
my
even
daughter
compare
loves
it to
working. I got her into greens and proteins. My buddy Greg
Ooh, yeah.
owns them. Is part
Oh yeah,
owner.
greens and
those
protein.
So Greg
those
got
are
her in
pretty
at
good.
15.
Is
and it was
Greg the
great.
guy? He had black
Jamargo.
hair, like he'd slick it back? Or,
Yeah, he used to run Pure nightclub for the longest time.
See, that's
Back in
Whoa,
the day.
I knew, because
that's
I
the
remember.
one at,
I think
Palms.
was that greens and
Caesars.
greens.
Caesar.
Greens and proteins. Was
Oh,
that
no,
the
that
first
was Rain.
location on Eastern?
There was, I don't know where the first one was, but she worked up in some.
Yeah, I want to
to
say
Oh,
because he
that's
was in there.
right.
He was
he's
in
always.
there. And he was
listen,
on
he
it.
works his ass off.
He
in that
was
place,
on
so.
it, man. Yeah,
But he
no.
gave her a job, and she made some good money, and she loved making money.
Yep.
Must be like her dad, but
Yeah, I was gonna say I wonder where it comes
but
from.
she liked making money, so she saw that. And I said, "Look, if you want to have a car one day, you gotta make money. I'm not gonna buy it for you. My parents.
I
didn't
work
buy
for my
me.
money.
No, you got to work for it." So she does, and then she quit there, and she went into Panera, and she's doing the things, and trying to get into something else. She gets it.
I had a sandwich job in high school.
What were you?
I was at Quiznos.
Where that place goes?
They're still around. They're in the airport. I saw
they?
them. I just didn't have time to get a sandwich.
Is there a
but
Quiznos, Richard, in Las Vegas? Because I don't.
There
I don't remember.
is. You gotta find the spots. Yeah,
Two of
see?
them.
They're
Oh my
not as
God.
common as before.
So you know how to make us a sandwich?
Yeah, actually, I was.
So what are you doing
I
over
was
here?
a
Multi-talented.
lead sandwich.
Oh, she got the lead.
Listen, my first job was, besides a newspaper route, it was a pizza maker.
Actually, you
Yeah,
know
I've
what's
done
funny
pizza.
was I got hired at this Quiznos, and then the other girls didn't like me, and
They're the bitches?
Yeah, they were bitches, and they trained me wrong, right? And then they made this schedule, and it was like they fired me because they had put me down for a day, and I was like, no. I put my availability because I did cheer and gymnastics, and I was
Oh,
like,
there you go, right there.
and then
You're
I
a
was like,
cheerleader.
you know what?
Yeah,
I
I
was
didn't
like,
like
I'm gonna take you guys to the EDD board for wrongfully terminating me. And then,
Sounds about right.
And then the guy was like, okay, hold on. He's like, I got this other Quiznos that you could work
boy.
at.
Yeah.
So
It was put her at a quiz with a bunch of guys.
you just gotta throw that out there.
Hey, didn't you say you worked at a GameStop too?
Yeah,
That kind of makes me.
Yeah, and then
kinda
from
funny to
games,
me.
well, I always kept the job, but I always looked for other jobs. So like, I worked at Quiznos. I had 2 Quiznos jobs, and then I worked at GameStop, and then
It's a random
Hey,
jump.
can you
then
imagine those little
I
gamers
became
in there?
the manager. So I finally
Keep all
let.
those connections with the gamers?
Oh
hell yeah.
Hell yeah!
They're
dude.
probably successful
Damn.
people
Yeah.
today.
Yeah, they're probably the ones supporting her, too.
I used to smoke weed with my boss, and then he made me a manager. And those little nerds, they did not like it. They did not.
That's funny.
So then, so you didn't go into security out here.
No, I was done with it. Once you get a little bit older, you get done with a lot of things.
Well, how do you top working with the president? Like,
My claim to fame, I always joke around with, I say, protect the president, vice president of the United States, the richest man in the world, and Superman. Because back in the day, Dean Cain came
oh wow,
to Toronto, and one of my guys had to go take care of him. I said, let me take care of him. I said, I like the guy, and I want to get. And to this day, Dean and I are friends.
Oh wow!
And I had to remind him back
from that one.
So
from
that
one
time
experience?
that I took care of him, I reminded him when he came into the Monte Carlo, and we got to say hi. I reminded him of that. He goes, "That was you? Holy jeez!" He says, "That was a while ago." I said, "Yeah, that was a long time ago."
So Dean Cain was second Superman, right?
He was Lois and Clark.
Lois and Clark.
That was the TV series that ran.
The
forever.
TV,
And then
yeah,
he
that's
also
the
he
most
was. Where was he the quarterback at? I know he played.
Oh yeah, I
college
can't
football.
remember.
I want to say it was UCLA. That's why it's on my mind.
Really?
But you remember the Dean Cain?
But he's always been an athlete. He's in great
Picture.
shape now. He's a good
Got a
guy.
picture of him, Hugh. Dean Cain. Did he do other stuff outside of Superman, or that was probably
Yeah,
one
no,
of-
he did other stuff. He did some
Yeah.
movies. He did other stuff. Yeah, I mean, he stayed relevant for a while.
Yeah.
People still know who he is. So,
So how did you get from over at the Monte Carlo over to the Hard Rock?
well, funny thing was Matt
Played
Damon.
football at Princeton.
Princeton. Holy cow.
So coming in, being in Monte Carlo for 3 years, near the end of it, I had remember the movie Rounders with Ed Norton and Matt Damon.
Of course. Yep.
So I had a guy, the wise guy, Johnny Marinacci, who they named the judge after. He was the advisor on that for poker. He says, "Listen, I got Matt Damon, Ed Norton, and some of the producers coming in. Do you want to have them for dinner?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Absolutely." And this is where I started doing the buzz stuff, realizing, wait a second, I can have a couple big actors in here. Why don't I take care of their dinner, get them a couple pictures, and see what we can do in the press?
This is now. This, I mean, at that point, there was no big
There's no
social
social media.
media.
Nope.
I mean, think
know,
of
that's what I
how
was gonna
easy that
say.
would have been
But
for you in
think about-
social media
oh,
days.
Yeah. So think about this. You have guys that are big celebrities walking through your place, right? We forget. You being in Detroit, being around the world, wherever you've been, you might run into celebrities being in New York, LA, living in Vegas, Detroit. But we forget about the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They
They
don't.
see a news reporter, they think it's a big deal.
Yep.
Anybody
Someone on
that's
the radio,
got some kind of fame to them.
right?
I said in Detroit one time. So I would say, to be out here now and to see like these Tiestos and Calvin Harris's almost every week. Tiesto came to Detroit one time. So you weren't going to miss that show ever.
Yeah.
It was huge stardom.
Yeah, here you're like he's here 4 times this week.
Yeah.
I'm good.
But everybody jokes around with me sometimes. I said, "Oh, you have a D-list actor. You have this. You have that." You know what? I don't give a shit.
To
If they
someone
have
in this
some
other
kind
city,
of fan base,
yeah.
I'll take care of them
Yeah.
because I know their fan base loves seeing them,
Yep.
and we
Means the
forget about
world.
the rest of the world. There's millions of people watching their shows, reality shows, and things like that. So I don't care, but I give them their escape in Vegas,
Yeah.
a trusted escape. So we play off each other that way, and they don't have to worry about it. And by the time I release any press, it's a picture they've taken with either the owner or Chef Barry down at Barry's.
Yeah.
They've taken that picture. They're okay with it because they just had the best meal.
Right.
They just
Oh, yeah, they're
they
more
just
than
met
happy
a
for that.
casino owner by his own bar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is cool.
To
Those are
them,
things.
that's another. They
That's
say
big
to
for
them, yeah, exactly.
And I made it happen. And I made that happen.
Yeah.
So that picture after they leave, we'll release it.
Well, that's what I mean. It's funny because it's just like I said when I was explaining to these guys. They're like, they're like, who's Richard? I'm like, I don't know, but this guy gets these people downtown. I'm like, that's why I'm like, I don't even know how to describe it, but I'm like, I'm very vigilant with people and what they're doing, and I'm like, and they're going down there, and you can see they're legitimately having a good time. Those aren't
they're
fake
friends.
Yeah,
They're
they're
friends.
not
They become
fake
friends of
pictures.
mine. That's what I'm great at doing.
Well, it's a reputation too. If
Building
if you've dealt
relationships.
with one of their friends before, they know
Yes.
they're in the right hands.
But if you build a relationship with somebody, I want to be able to call them friends.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I'm not there to get anything from them. They need me. I need them. So I'm like, okay, let's be friends. Let's work it out together. You need a good connection, Vegas. I'm it. And when I worked at the Hard Rocks, I did 2 tours there. I did 2000, 2003, and then 2007 to 11. When I did that, I mean, we had a big thing that happened there where Rihanna wanted to throw Katy Perry's bachelorette party for 2 months.
Who was Katy Perry? Was that when she was marrying
Russell
Brand?
yeah.
So they needed a place to come. Now I've taken care of Rihanna a few times, and she would only bring one security guy because they knew they had me there.
Right.
So I made it very easy for them. So they call me and they say, "Hey, we want to do this thing at the Hard Rock, but we don't want anybody to know." Only 2 of her people knew, and only my president knew.
Wow.
And then that was it. The journalists, everybody's calling. Where are we doing this? Where are we going to be? Where'd they coming? Are they coming to see Richard? Are they doing it in? No, we don't know what's happening.
Yeah. What do you mean?
And then when they call me, I'm like, I think they're going to Disney World or something. They're going something to do with Disney characters or something. Like I would just throw it
just
right
complete
off.
opposite. Yeah.
So what happened was that night before is when Russell Brand got into trouble at the airport with that up the skirt with one of the photographers, the paparazzi trying to get an up the skirt of Katy Perry, and he pushed him and all that.
Yeah.
And he ended up in jail. Well, he bailed out. He bailed out that night, got on a plane, and they came to me. And I put them up. I put them up in the Hard Rock the night before. And they wanted to go to SW for steak. I said, look, I don't have any control over that. I don't even know the security over there.
Yeah.
So I just got on the phone, did what I did, and I called the head of security, said, I'm so-and-so. I have so-and-so coming in. Can you get him in the back? Yep, no problem, Rich. And gained a friendship there.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
they
a
took care
forever
of it.
connection
I got
too.
him back. Yeah, it's big that way. And I
Yeah.
know how to do
SW
that.
was awesome.
Right.
Next day, Russell leaves. Rihanna comes in. They spend all day by the pool. I put them in dinner. And then they go to I think, Raw. I think they went and saw Raw.
Oh
on
man,
MGM.
was that?
Okay,
Oh yeah.
okay.
And then the next day they leave.
That was crazy.
And that was it. And the deal was I took care of everything for them. And they just, one of the regrets I didn't get was a picture with the two of them. Because they were just having so much fun, and I didn't want to take a picture when they're not looking their best or whatever.
Yeah.
But Katie says one of the best hosts I've ever had. So she signed a book cover and whatever. But I've got tons of pictures with Rihanna. She always went out of her way to meet the president's kids and do things like that. She was awesome. Yeah, she was a real good person to me. So
Big points for you there when those type of people are.
But you know, you trusted. You trusted the process, and you knew you were safe. Justin Timberlake would come in. He knew he was safe. He knew there wasn't anybody. Somebody took a picture of him actually in Peacock Lounge, and you know how Peacock
Where was
set
that
up.
at? Where was
Peacock was Hard Rock.
Hard Rock.
And somebody went like this and snapped the picture. Well, I can't control that.
Yeah.
You know, I can't control that. And that he says, where did this come from? I said, well, you can tell it's far away and it just barely got you in between people. So that was somebody that's probably selling the picture for $100 at TMZ.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, but listen, with everybody that came through there, we always made sure we did it right. You know, we hid people out there sometimes when they came into town and nobody knew they were there.
Yeah.
You know, so that's how the Hard Rock was. You know, you would have Tony Romo dating Jessica Simpson at the time. I had to handle that.
I remember that.
You know, and I had to do things. I even helped Jessica get a plane back to LA, you know, a private jet, you know, so things like that. I mean, you're kind of like the fixer, or you're kind of the person that they trust.
It goes well beyond some dinner and gambling at a casino.
But that's how it
like
starts.
you said. Yeah,
that's how it starts.
Of course, yeah. It's
They
gotta
come
build
in,
up.
they come in, they go to dinner. You know, you listen. You were there. You were with a soprano for Pete's sakes, right? So you saw the VIP treatment, how I treated him. But we're friends. We go back to the Soprano days. You know, I took care of all of them, the main characters. You know, for 10 years. So when he came in, I introduced him to a friend of mine. Now, you know, that's it. And now she got to see the VIP style, the lifestyle that I create for these people, right, when they come to Vegas. And that was the whole point. Because I know, listen, between you guys and you know, you guys have friends that are famous. They're going to come to Vegas. They're going to need somebody at one point in time, too. They've got you. But when you want to come to business, you want to come to dinner, and somebody comes in, you know.
That's why I said, I mean, just from traveling the world and stuff, and I see a lot of pictures, I understand what a 3-second here, I'm taking a picture and turning and walk away.
Take a picture with a friend.
I know what that looks like.
Yeah.
And so, like, one thing I can say that I've seen, you know, on your social media, those are all, you know, like legitimate
They're authentic.
friends that are authentic. They're not just doing a quick hug picture and moving on. And I mean, I can see it in the pictures. So I know. Did you ever? So in the time being out here, did you ever have a party phase?
No, so I don't drink.
No. Well, what I was gonna
Never had a taste for alcohol. Never have.
That was my next question.
Never smoked.
because
Never did drugs. So
Where did that come from? Was there something that made you never want to?
I always wanted to be in. I always had to be in
Canadians
control.
are crazy.
So here's the thing that I always joke around about this. I said, you know, for how I grew up and learning how to fight and knowing all those things and being trained by certain people, you know, you could kill somebody.
Yeah, it's almost scary
you know?
to
So
have
if I
that.
was drunk, I always joked around and said I could have killed somebody, or I could have had babies with multiple women, because I would have lost all responsibility.
both just as dangerous.
You know?
Both are just as dangerous.
I was always responsible, you know, and I wouldn't have been if I was drinking. I probably wouldn't have been. So I probably would not be in Vegas today because of it. So I'm glad I didn't do it.
Yeah, Domo tipped me off to that, but I mean, that was something I didn't even have to ask, because you just know you can't be at that level and do that. And it was kind of like what you were saying, you know.
Technically, I was the one having the drinks.
You sure were.
You were handling him pretty well. She was doing a good job.
She's drinking up for both of
You know
us.
how
You
to
okay?
handle
Can you
it.
drive? Yeah. We'll just stay a little longer. Okay. Here's some water. But you cut yourself off at the right time too, so you could drive. So that
No,
was pretty cool.
she's
Pretty
actually
responsible.
of the people I'm around. That's what I said. I'm like, she's very responsible on the drinking and smoking. I don't know. But on the drinking, she's pretty.
I'll tell you, she's an impressive businesswoman. That's what attracts me to when we followed each other on Instagram. After we followed each other, was like it was good because she was business, and I liked that.
That's when I
all
met.
about it.
Yeah, we were. All,
And now I know she's great to hang out with clients because
You can trust her to not
hold her own.
yeah, she said that to me, and I said, it's just like when you came. Even these older hosts, I've seen so many hosts, even younger guys. It's a dream job, but they blow it for themselves.
Yeah.
They get on drugs, they start drinking. These older people, they probably got so complacent when you came out here at a young age that they just start sloughing off, or they're just
Listen,
making.
I had a lot of opportunities to screw up too.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not perfect.
Oh,
either,
no,
but at the same time, I remembered my responsibility was my job.
Yes.
My job. Listen, it's not worth what you pay me a year to do something stupid
Yeah.
Yes.
and to jeopardize my family and jeopardize my life. That's ridiculous, and I'm not going to do that. Yeah. So for me, my responsibility, my job. I've worked for this owner, Derek Stevens, for 10 years now, coming up in January. Mm-hmm. For me, the trust factor is a big deal. Mm-hmm. I know he trusts me. I'm not going to do anything that's not in the best interest of the company. And I'm going to watch out, too, since I don't drink, if anything's being screwed around the property.
Right.
So I'm always going to watch out. And I'm the guy that's sober all the time. I'm property.
I was going to say, just from you being here in Vegas, I always say, I'm like, it's almost a tie between the Canadians and the Australians for the craziest partiers.
Oh, dude.
Listen, Canadians can drink, especially the hockey players, okay?
Hey, that's what, I don't know if you know him, but one of my best friends, shout out to Dustin Penner. I think he played for Edmonton, the Kings. He's won a couple Stanley. But he's from Canada, and he
can probably drink.
Oh.
Listen, Canadian hockey players are the best. They can drink
And
anyone
they
at the table
show up
and not even act like they're drunk.
He could drink and fucking analyze you like all in 1 second, and then don't even tell him your star sign. He'll go all up in there.
That's pretty incredible.
So,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, pushing along. Want to definitely make sure we focus on the Circa and the D. So Circa is the first new build in Vegas for a long time.
Yeah, it's actually since 1978, I believe, or 76, somewhere around there. It's the first
location is crazy for downtown.
From ground up. Mm-hmm. It was the first casino hotel built from ground up since the 70s.
So there was nothing there in its place. It wasn't a...
No, it was Las Vegas Club. Here's something very interesting about Derek Stevens, okay? This guy's in the automotive business.
That's what
comes to Vegas 2000. He probably was coming to Vegas all the time for the old fights at Caesars, all that stuff, right? Walks in 2007, I believe, 2008 in Golden Gate. I'm getting old, so I'm forgetting dates now. But he walks into the Golden Gate, flip-flops, T-shirt, and shorts. And he'll tell you this story. He says, man, this place is cool. I want to buy it. Gets on the phone to the operator, says, can you get the owner on the phone? They thought it was a joke. The owner actually got on the phone. He bought a percentage into it, and then before you knew it, he owned the whole place. Golden Gate, which a lot of people don't realize, is the oldest casino hotel in Las Vegas.
Real quick, is that where the Glitter Gulch was, or
Glitter Gulch was?
Hey, I shouldn't even know about that place.
Glitter Gulch was something that had to be knocked down for Circa's footprint.
Got it.
So that was part of it.
Was that part of Golden Gate?
That's why Vegas Vicky is sitting in our Vegas Vicky bar now, right above Barry's.
Oh.
Derek took that and refurbished it and put it up there, and it's gorgeous.
So did Derek?
I love it.
I don't know a whole lot about him. I'm just a big fan because he's from Detroit. I know he took a little heat because he called the casino the D, but he wasn't doing a lot of the D stuff.
Listen, so let me talk to them. So the D is basically for Detroit, for downtown, and for Derek. That's what we always said, okay?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
When you have people come from Detroit, now listen, we're only 3 hours from Toronto, from Detroit, right? So I've been to Detroit.
Hey, we've been to Windsor.
Okay.
18
I
years
almost
old.
worked there, actually.
18 years old.
Almost helped run
right
that casino there.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. When people came from Detroit and said, well, this isn't like Detroit, what do you want? You want it to be a slum? You want it to be dirty?
A Ford dealership and some homeless people.
We brought ACI, which is great. It's right from Detroit, right? American Coney Island.
Yep.
Awesome, right?
I would have chose Lafayette, but shout out to American.
Yeah.
American Coney Island is the best. They now have Victory Burger and Wings in Circa, the dive.
No, I've seen that. That's a lady owner, and I think
sister and brother.
Sister and brother. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
Chris and Grace.
I met I want to say it was at the Kid Rock event. She was there.
So you be in Detroit, from Detroit. You walk into the D. what do you want to see from Detroit?
I know that's
The whole point,
Hey,
it's
honestly,
owned by a guy
yeah.
from Michigan, so why not? That's a good
Everybody
thing. And
was
there's a
like-
big D on the building.
Everybody's like,
Yeah.
why isn't there a picture, and why isn't there this? But I'm like, you guys got the two best things. You got the Coney Island, and then you did. A lot of people don't know Andiamo.
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 So the reason why I was at the D and I didn't see it as a bad thing was because they were opening Andiamo as I was starting.
Yeah, so just so you guys know, Andiamo's was the shit in Detroit.
is it?
It's just like
It's
a
an
fine
Italian.
dining
It's an
restaurant.
Italian steakhouse, but their zip sauce is a proprietary kind of ingredient. They won't tell you what it is, and this stuff is good.
So let me tell you something about that. What I was telling you. So I went with Domo, did a couple appearances on 8 Mile, and everybody was like, they didn't understand 8 Mile, and I said it's just the suburbs to downtown.
Yep.
And so basically, it was like all strip clubs. And then I would tell her, I said, I was in a strip club 7 days a week, but I don't do lap dances. I don't. And she's like, well, what are you doing? I'm like, it's the best form of entertainment, just to talk to these girls. I go, but besides the girls, they were all steakhouses.
Oh,
and
yeah,
so
the
I
strip
have
clubs, I
said
got
that,
the best
I have
food.
said that to you. I said,
Yep.
they call it zip sauce. It's the sauce that you put the steak in. And I'm like, I think I said that to you before, and you're like, what's that? And I'm
Yeah.
like, it's like the prime rib stuff. You dip it. It's called zip sauce. Every strip club had it.
Well, they had such a great reputation in Michigan.
They were
And when they
massive.
came here, we built it up. So what I helped do was bring in all the celebrities. That's how I got all the WWE. So Bill Goldberg was in my wedding party.
Oh,
So
wow.
that was when my daughter was only 6 months old. You know, so it's a big deal. So I shoved a 32-ounce tomahawk steak in his hand, took a picture, put it in the press.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, everybody from WWE started, hey, where'd you get that steak?
Yeah.
And I put it in Sasha and Bailey's hands, and they started sword fighting with the 32-ounce. And that was a big deal. You know, every single WWE person that's basically out there, I've had in Andiamo, and they held that 32-ounce. I think Titus O'Neil's the only one that actually held 2 because he's such a big guy. But
Yeah.
just those little things. I mean, I ran into Stephanie McMahon backstage one time with my son. She goes, oh, you're the one feeding them all those steaks. I said, well, I'm waiting for you and Triple H to come. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, and I finally got
That's
her and her
big.
mother, DeBerry. So that's awesome. Linda McMahon and Stephanie McMahon.
Wow.
Talk about business women that are powerful and just good people.
And their
Awesome.
dad is it
Vince McMahon.
Vince
I mean, look at the
McMahon.
businessman. Look at the business he created. I
Yeah,
mean, it's
wow.
incredible. One of the
Boss
biggest marketing companies in the world, if you look at it,
Yeah.
in every country, recognizable. Everywhere.
Are you a wrestling fan?
I grew up with my grandfather.
See, that's
I
what
watched Bill Goldberg, and we're
Yeah.
basically the same age.
That's what I was. But I was in those days, the Macho Mans and the Hulk Hogan. I never got into it, but it's kind of the same form of entertainment. But here in Vegas, I just really took.
Do you know what the biggest thing about it is? What
Yeah.
makes WWE is because they have fans that are 2 years old, 3 years old,
Yeah.
to 70 years old.
Yeah.
We all
Big
know
demo. Yeah,
it's
yeah.
a big demo, and the way they get mobbed. Sasha Banks, when she comes in, she basically has to cover almost everything. And when she's walking out with me, even one of our security goes, "Bye, Sasha." I went, "That's crazy." Because when they go through airports, any airport a WWE star goes through, they get mobbed.
Yeah.
I bet.
Wow,
I bet.
wow.
'Cause you're
people
getting
try
mobbed
to-
by families.
And then they
Yeah. You're like
Yeah,
the
no,
3
you're
generations of people are.
It's
Yeah,
like
exactly.
They want you to do a
That's
trick.
exactly right.
If
Yeah.
you really think about it, like I didn't. So I've been to one time we had a layover, and I remember I went. I don't know. WWE. What was it called? Was it WWF? Was the first?
Geez, they had so many.
Yeah,
it's
well,
F, right?
I
Yeah.
went to one with my son's mom, and I'm sitting in
WCW back in the day when I met.
yeah, and I'm watching this, and I'm like, I know that this is acting, but I'm looking and I'm seeing, like you said, little kids, but then I'm seeing dads, and they're into it as if it's a real UFC fight.
Listen, let me
And I'm
stop.
like,
but
what's
let me
the-
tell you something.
Yeah,
now.
I'm like-
I'm going to tell you this right now.
Yeah.
Everybody that says that's fake is bullshit. Okay, because I'm going to tell you something. It could be a skit. It could be whatever you want it to be.
Yep.
But at the same time, they're bleeding in there.
Yeah.
They're
Oh,
hurting
yeah.
themselves in there.
They're
They're
athletes.
acrobats.
Yeah.
They're
Fucking
the
ladders and
top of the
chairs.
line athletes.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it's like
Okay.
a Cirque show.
How are you going to fake falling from the triple cage onto a guy on a table?
Yeah.
Okay, you're not faking anything.
Yeah.
There's no
Yeah.
bag. You're not.
Yeah.
You're not being a.
It's not a green screen. Yeah,
No.
the table's not a
So
green screen.
let me tell you something. They are true athletes.
Yeah.
Their bodies take a beating,
Oh,
all
yeah.
for entertainment.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
when you see them in a cage, I don't care. all you have to do is go once to a WWE match, and you will be into it all, and you'll be.
I would actually like to revisit that because I've only went to one, and like I said, to me, do you think that would kind of be the modern day, almost like reality show, like people just attached to these characters? Like
but that's the thing, their character becomes them.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like soap opera people when they're out. Soap opera people, like fans, go crazy.
Right.
They're calling them by their name.
Yeah,
Well,
you know. But
that's their identity from then on out.
I watched like a Viceland. They did like a series on all these things, and it was like even the relationships that were like intertwining. Like if the other guys were, you know, looking at their ladies, and you know, the Hulk Hogan and stuff. Like,
but they developed from there.
Turn into that person.
They turn it into everybody. But WWE owns everything. They own their lives until they get out. So it's pretty. It's a crazy model business model, but it's worked.
Yeah.
But they knew what they're doing in the beginning, and that's what they did, and they created all these people. And if they're smart, when they're done wrestling, they go into movies. And some of them have, and then they get.
They take advantage of that fan base.
Why
That
not?
fan base is insane.
It's the biggest.
Dwayne Johnson.
Look at the Rock. Rock's been the most successful out of anybody, even in Hollywood. I mean, he's the biggest actor out there. And I'll tell you, nice guy. We shared the same birthday, actually. It's pretty cool.
Really?
Yeah, it's actually pretty cool.
What is your birthday?
May 2nd.
May 2nd.
So he's May 2nd. My grandmother, who's still alive, 95 years old, she's May 2nd. So it's like three of us that were on.
Your dad is a Taurus?
Yeah, he was. So now, how did the women? Because I see Kendra Lust and Sophie D was on your page.
So that's the trust factor again. Now listen, I can honestly tell you this: if it's somebody that's been in the adult industry, I've never gone on and done my due diligence in the way of that. I will go on and do my due diligence in the way of Instagram, social media. I don't want to see them naked. You know, I don't want to see them that way because that's not how I met them.
Right.
Hey,
So for me,
it's crazy because when I met her just seeing that I was in the music business, I started traveling around a little bit with her, and she was like, "How do you not know?" I'm like, I don't know. I wasn't a porn person, and I'm like,
I'm not the same way. I'm not a porn person.
And I'm like, I know who Jenna Jameson
I
is,
mean,
and she's like,
but I'm like, you guys probably had groupies and
yeah, well, that's what she said, and I was
stuff.
like, honestly, everything we did was very
MTV
controlled,
days.
and we weren't out there seeking that. But I was like, I would have to ask her, like, who are these popular people?
Yep.
And then I would take their picture and go try to find them at these conventions. And a lot of times they didn't look like the person in the
It's like
picture.
way off. That was way off.
You know, but and I mean, you guys, obviously being at the Hard Rock, you guys hosted those AVNs.
So that's something that I do as well. So being down at the D, I had Tori Black come down and a couple of the girls when they were in for AVN awards, and I would get more press of them coming down to Andiamo and having dinner than they did at the AVNs because I would do that.
Yeah.
So if there was something in town, I would grab them and bring them down, get them the press. That's good press.
Right.
Nothing to do with the adult world. And it gave them better reputation that way when they came to Vegas, not thinking everybody was thinking they're coming here to do all this.
Right.
They came out to a nice restaurant. They dressed up nice.
Yeah. It's
It was
completely
good.
another world.
Yeah. So
but
I
still
gave
in the
them that
public
outlet
eye. Yeah.
and get them away from Hard Rock where all their fans were going crazy.
Right.
So
probably help them get verified. I need to do that.
you can help me get very
Hey, do you have any plans of turning this beautiful pool into rehab one day?
No, you know that is.
I need to
I
go
was
to
gonna say
that pool, by the
talk
way.
about stadium swim for those that are haven't experienced it yet or seen it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's insane to see it. It's just nuts.
143-foot screen.
I haven't done
Sports
the pool.
on
I
it all the
haven't done
time.
the pool. Oh, that
Did
sounds
I-
crazy.
And year round,
pools.
year round, right?
Year round, 8 a.m. till in the summertime, in the wintertime, 10 p.m., 11 p.m. in the summertime. 6 pools, always 100 degrees.
So you guys
We
keep
cool
them
down in the
heated.
summer. Yeah, in the summer we try to cool it down a little bit, but they're all like jacuzzis basically because of the fact in the winter.
That's what I've heard.
So listen, we're from Detroit. Let's just use Detroit for example. You come in here,
Look at how beautiful it
and you can't swim in Detroit in December, but you
Nope.
can come here and swim with us. And at the same time,
Why don't we
That-
ever hang out over
I know
there?
why I don't, because I don't go out, but this has been on my list for a very long time. I've heard about it. I heard the pools were heated. I I actually would see pictures on
this is
social
all
media like,
just
what the hell are these
first
people
come, first
doing?
serve? You could just
Yeah,
go?
except for day beds, those day beds that you
Okay.
see there, and cabanas. You have to basically go through somebody to get
The
those.
day beds are
it.
super nice too. They got safes in them.
But
And
these little
See those little
chairs right
U-shaped?
there.
See those little U-shaped couches? I'd have Floyd Mayweather come in there and sit there and grab something to eat and watch some sports. Sometimes, people come in. We have owners' cabanas on each side. You see that big cabana on the right side over there.
yeah,
We
right.
have
And
another
the
one
corner
on the left.
tuck.
That can hold up to 40 people.
Wow.
It goes in too, so there's an inside. So, listen.
DJs all day as well, right?
All right.
Yeah, but here's the
ladies.
beautiful thing. In the very beginning, we used to go to an 8:00 meeting every Wednesday, and for 3 years talking about Circa. All right, and
Oh, you're talking about before
it
was
opened.
Yeah.
And when
yeah.
we got to the pool, I kept telling Derek, I don't think this is going to work. You can't just show sports. Then no women will come. You won't have any women out there. Said you need a DJ or something.
Yeah.
And he ended up putting a DJ out there. But
DJ
here's the
booth right in the
difference.
middle there.
But the DJ,
That's it right there.
but the
Yep,
DJ
right there on the screen.
plays music, but it's not a DJ we go pay $1 million to.
Yeah.
It's a DJ that
Yeah.
you get for a few $1,000s, and they'd come out and they just play good mixes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And while they do that, the sports are on unless we have audio, full audio.
Right.
which
And
we
then they
do on
only play during
football games.
commercials.
Yeah, and then during exactly. You've been there.
So
probably.
Super James here. Super James here's he's a tour DJ, but he's also was a DJ on the radio and he DJs. But I don't know.
Yeah,
you know
I've
who
played before. Yeah,
Baby
I played there
Bash
before.
is. You would know if you heard the song. He's a little bit old school, but he's Baby Bash's tour DJ.
Sugar, sugar.
So yeah, sugar, how you get so fly?
Oh yeah, okay.
That song,
It's a
so-
Cali classic.
Yeah.
So this ends up
Yeah.
working because everybody
combine the
wants
two
to come
worlds.
on.
Yeah.
You combine the two worlds, but at the same time, you get women, you get men, you get everybody.
I'm
You wouldn't believe
jealous.
how many sports
Is there-
women there are out there that
Is
love to
there
bet sports.
is there a sports book out there?
No, but
or
we
they
have
have to go
kiosks.
inside?
So we have kiosks.
Okay,
out there.
okay,
We
okay.
have the best damn sports app out there for Circa Sports.
Okay, just
Everybody
wow.
loves it.
So you can just sit there and do it
You
on
can
the app.
sit there and do it on your app. We let you even. Here's the beautiful thing about Circa Sports is that you only have to go up to the counter once, introduce yourself so they get to know you, get a player's card, and we allow you to bet basically what you'd bet on a counter, the same in the app,
Oh wow.
which is unheard of.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and we have the best service. Our guys that run the book are awesome. Jeff Benson, Matt. I mean, these guys are awesome. They know their stuff. And when you're out there, that's what you want. You want guys that know what they're doing in sports. And here's the big thing. That's our owner's baby.
Yeah.
He loves sports.
Yeah.
So that's
that
his
was a big,
sports
big
book.
deal for him.
That's why you got the biggest sports book in the world
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
sitting in the casino.
I was gonna say the sports book's just as
Sick.
amazing. Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah.
That sells
yeah.
out all the time on football Sundays.
Yeah.
It's sitting in there and ordering food and watching
And there's a
games.
bar over, right? That
You got a
overlooks
hang-
it.
So we have an underhang, we have overhang.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it's like
yeah.
it's basically 3 floors because that sits in the basement. The only thing that sits in our basement is the counter to the sports book and berries. That's it. We had to dig down underneath to get that.
Yeah, that's why when you were calling, I wasn't
There you
getting
go.
your
There's
call.
the sports book right there.
Yeah.
I mean, look at that. I mean, it's sick and it doesn't do it any justice, but I mean, that when you get there and you're
No,
watching
you're
a game,
blown away by that. I remember
away.
the first time walking in there, I was just like, "Holy cow!"
And this is the kind of team he's got there. Okay, I was in Georgia with my son for baseball, playing for Team Nevada, right? And we're in Georgia, and I see all over the news in the morning
Yep.
we have a flood, and
Yeah.
I'm getting texts
Oh
like
yeah,
crazy.
the screen, right
my
behind the
next
screen.
question.
I was
Coming
about
through.
to get into
So it
that.
wasn't anything to do with flooding. It was just a pipe that broke
Yeah.
because of all the water that was coming through. But listen, it was coming through there. I'm like, holy jeez, what? That's unbelievable. I'm glad I'm here. I'm not there because it was crazy. But you know what?
Yeah. That was insane.
Brand new in 24 hours.
Yeah.
Tell me what
Screen,
casino
everything. Yeah.
in 24 hours
That
turns around.
sports book would be under construction for 2 weeks.
You still have Planet Hollywood every time it rains, still
Yeah.
coming down in the casino. Shut your
Yeah.
casino down.
Yeah.
24 hours, it was done. It was brand new carpet, brand new screen, brand new everything.
Shit.
We were
That's the
watching
beautiful
that,
thing
yeah.
about having the owner.
We were
there.
watching that water come through those screens, and we were just like, "Oh my god!" And we were actually surprised, outside of Planet Hollywood, we're like, when these floods came, we're like, "How are of everybody? The casinos are just so powerful, and no houses are leaking, but the casinos."
But tell
are
me
leaking."
one thing, though, okay?
Yeah.
Was that a first for you? Seeing water come through a TV screen?
Yeah.
It was for me. So we created
that's
another
what I said.
first.
Well, that's what I was saying. It was
So that was a big deal.
I-
Planet Hollywood is clearly just
just
flooding, but
just
this
flooding.
this obviously
You
wasn't because
came
it's coming
through
from
a
the
s-
side.
You came through the back of a TV screen.
Yeah.
And it flooded through the screen and dropping in and flooding the. I mean, that was a first.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
anytime we can create a first, and he does a lot of firsts. He didn't think that was a first, but that's a big
that
deal.
was
First
straight
ones to
up
have a
memes.
waterfall in our sports book.
Straight memes all
And so
around.
he knocked that out 24 hours.
24
from-
hours. That's the kind of team. Listen, he's such a good guy. He takes care of his people, so we all want to work hard for him. And that's what makes a difference. He's in like Wednesdays, 9 a.m.
That's what I was gonna ask. He's around. He's around. He's
operations meetings.
Yeah.
He sits in marketing tomorrow. He'll be in. He's in daily ops. He's
Yes.
he's got a say in everything, which is great because sometimes he knows he doesn't know everything. None of us do, but he learns and he tries things. And when we're notorious for trying things.
I've seen you guys
you know,
do a
for
lot
the
of
first
stuff.
time.
Yeah.
So it's great. And look at that property. I mean, Circa is one of a kind, and it's the tallest building downtown. You know, Legacy Club where you were sitting with Vinny.
Oh my God! That's my
I
spot.
mean, that is. We were always dealing with Ghost Bar and Foundation Room, and we were always crammed up in those places. You can come up to Legacy, and half is inside, half is outside.
Yeah.
You're not crammed anywhere. I mean, it gets busy and it's a lot of fun, but at the same time, it's the best views in Vegas.
It's so
See, I've
nice,
never-
and the view.
You got like 180 degrees view. Yeah.
Remember what I said, Domo? It's very rare that I'm out. Yeah, actually, I was with you.
I was gonna say
So
we had a long night in
so-
this sports book
so
there one
we
time.
went to we had Bad Boy Bill come on the show, and then we went down and saw him. He played at Commonwealth, and then we went to Circa, and it was one of the few times that the first time going in there, and I just remember it was crazy because, like I said, I don't dress up. I'm gonna have to dress up because I do need to see this place.
Oh, you gotta
But
see
a young guy
Could have came in like that. You're
well,
fine.
remember the young guy. So some young, super young guy host comes up and he's like, "Yeah, I'm the big host here, whatever." And I'm like, "Yeah." And I had gotten a text from Donnie saying I'm up in the thing. But again, like how you were saying, I don't like to call people and ask them for this and
Yeah.
so he was up there, and so I said, "So you're the big host, right?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, I'm wearing shorts and a t-shirt." I'm like, "Get me in the Legacy Club," and he's like, "I can't." And now at the time, I'm like, "Well, get the fuck away from me, then." I'm like, "If you can't do shit for me, get away from me."
Yeah.
And I remember
But you hear that? Yeah, I think we just sat at the sports book. And
we
drank for a while,
we just sat at the bar and drank, and like I said, the energy that is in the D and even Circa, it's incredible.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like you're downtown. I mean,
And-
nothing against downtown, but it's just such a
Yeah.
beautiful property.
Because it holds its own. It's like a strip casino.
Yeah,
You
that's
know?
what I mean. You
Yeah.
can
And it's
pick that up and just put it right on the
Barry's,
strip.
That's my favorite
Yeah,
steakhouse.
Barry's.
That whole experience. I mean, just even beyond, because I told you I went to Barry's before I got invited, so I already knew.
But it was
like,
better when I took it.
It was. It was
I'm gonna
better.
say,
You got a soprano sitting
the
there.
food
Well,
tastes
I
better.
had,
Italian.
I had a soprano. Oh my god, and the desserts. Oh, I don't know.
And that's the thing though. We made sure we had a variety of food in there. Like you have 8 East from the guys that own Latai. You know, they came in and created a whole restaurant called 8 East, and it's like tapas, like a variety of Asian food. And they say the brisket fried rice is probably the best anybody's ever tasted anywhere. You know,
Where's
and
that at? That's
in there. That's in
Oh,
Circa.
I've always been hearing
You have
about
Saginaw's,
Latai.
which is like a
man.
Jewish deli kind of out of Detroit. You have Saginaw's.
Wow.
You know, so
Yeah,
and
I
that's
didn't know
that's
about that. I didn't do the delis, but
they're 24 hours. They're our coffee shop kind of format in a way of menu. Everything's made to order though. Where do you hear in a casino that everything's made to order in a restaurant? You may wait a couple minutes longer than normal, but it's fresh. And the sandwiches are to die for. I go and every Wednesday I have breakfast in there. It's that good.
So the thing that I've always heard about Derek, I went down there when you guys when it was the opening. Kid Rock did I think he just did a private show. I don't know if it was just for employees or
It was for our anniversary.
yeah. So I was down there and I met Derek that night, and like I said, it was just like talking to somebody in the street in Detroit. Like, and then people had said he's very you never know because you don't see many casino owners hanging out in their own casino. And I can tell you, I've been in the D multiple times, and I've seen him and his wife sitting right at the end of the bar,
Yeah,
and
greeting people,
and just saying hello to
talking
everybody.
to
And I'm
customers,
like,
buying them drinks. I mean, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then Sundays during football season. He's at the bar, or he's watching sports, or he's doing something, and he's got clients and customers all around him.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and listen, you won't find that, and that's what makes us unique. You won't find that anywhere else in Las Vegas.
They were-
You'll never meet a casino owner like that.
Yeah.
way.
Well, I heard him. Somebody said he took the reins. They called him the new George Maloof because that was kind of the last time you would hear of,
I think
of
he's
that.
Even that was a little different, though.
I think he's his own person because
Yeah,
even
no,
George was a partier. George, I know George.
Yeah,
George had
that's
fun and he
guys.
was a partier, but
Yeah.
Derek is a straight businessman. I mean, he comes from great background. His parents, a great family. I mean, him and his brother own the place. Everything's private. It's a private casino. You know, it's a casino that's privately owned by two brothers.
Yeah.
You know, you don't hear that.
Right.
You know,
No.
you
Not
hear
anymore at all.
You don't hear that
Yeah.
at
For a
all.
long
So
time.
for them to do that, like in these days,
Yeah.
that's something else.
Did he come from money or was there? You
No,
said
I
he was
think
automotive.
their parents. I believe their parents got in the automotive business and built it up into something great. It's fasteners. It's nuts and bolts.
Were
Yeah.
they-
It's not. It's
It's nuts and bolts. He
Yeah.
went to. So I know he went to college. Him and his brother, and when they got out of college, they worked for their parents, and then ended up buying it from their parents, I believe. So that and took it over, and his brother still has a lot to do with it. But they have great people back there that just run it.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, that place does very well, and it's this whole separate business.
Yeah.
You know, but
Completely different world.
he has a knack for picking the right people.
the
to get
work
behind.
the work ethic in the automotive business. All my family works for somewhere. Ford, Chrysler, GM. Even when I was in college, the best job to have, I'd come home summers and I worked at, it was GM and it was called Truck and Bus. And I literally was under cars all day putting one part on.
Yep.
And again, my family, my family was like,
picture
all
that.
my uncles, they became like, I think they call it skilled trades.
Yep.
So they're making 50, 60, 70 an hour, working 70 hours a week. And, you know, my uncles, I just remember they looked at me and they said, these are great jobs. You can have a good family, good money.
Yep.
But they're like, get out there in the world.
Go
man."
away. Like,
and,
run.
And you know, and
Yeah, but for some people, that's okay though.
they love it.
They're okay
They
with just
love
having
it.
a good life, being able to do that.
Yeah, just
not do anything else.
safe.
And it's safe.
Yeah.
Listen, everybody has that. Listen, we're lucky. We live in Vegas. We get
Yes.
to see things that nobody else sees. We get to do things other people don't. Everybody lives vicariously through the things. And I think that's why my Instagram, so it is what it is, because people live vicariously through them. So when when celebrities or athletes put me on their story or something, all of a sudden I get a bunch of followers, or Kendra, I'll get thousands of
Oh
followers.
yeah,
Like,
especially her.
as soon as I do stuff like that, it's like they feel that they can live vicariously through
go
me.
check on what is he
To
doing
see-
today.
Well,
What-
to see their behind the scenes.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
like Kendra and I did a little skit, a little reel, and it was just a fun reel. And we actually had her husband on there, which was crazy because he's not seen on anything.
Ever.
And we kind of screwed up because it started bringing out more questions.
Yeah.
But it was a fun skit, and almost 1 million people saw it.
Yeah.
And that was the crazy thing because I collabed with her, right? And she got like 8 million followers, but she's legit. I mean, she's fun. And then last 2 Saturdays ago, I got Sophie D and Tyler engaged.
Yeah, and
We
I
did a whole engagement up
we
there.
we actually
Legacy
went
Club.
we actually went to their housewarming party, and I didn't know either of them, but the Tyler, he's a really cool dude.
Really good guy. I mean, they're a perfect couple together.
Yeah.
Hey,
Really
Hugh,
cool.
do you actually have that picture that I sent you of Sophie D? I saw a weird clipping on Instagram, and I was kind of like blown away by it. Not really blown away, but it was her discussing what she makes on OnlyFans, and I was just like,
Well, I think she was one of the first OnlyFans though too.
Yeah.
like
She was one of them.
350K
I mean,
a month.
I give it up to her. She's really hardworking, and she collaborates with a lot of other top creators. But she like legitimately does it. And
She's a businesswoman.
and Tyler is really cool because he like helps her with marketing.
They have a
and stuff.
knack for social media, for marketing.
Yeah.
They're very good at it. They know what works.
Yeah, they
you know.
actually, a friend of hers knew them and actually brought them to her birthday party the night that Coolio,
awesome.
rest in peace,
Yeah.
Coolio, the night that he performed. But like I said, I didn't know who Sophie D was. I didn't, and I was like, these people are cool as.
I didn't either. And when I
Cool
met
shit.
her, she's just like another pretty girl. That was it.
Yep.
Sweet.
Sweet.
girl.
One of the sweetest people I've ever met. And I told Tyler that. I said, she is so sweet. She's such a nice person. You know, and the fact that they trusted me, trusted with me to help them with the engagement, that's a big deal.
Yeah, so they did it on the
They went to Andiamo.
Yeah.
Sorry, they went to Barry's.
Aries.
See, you got Andiamo in my head.
Yeah.
They went to Barry's, just the two of them. She had no clue. His buddies slipped me the ring. I had to carry this ring around. I was kind of nervous around about that. But for 45 minutes, I had to stall them because the roses never came in. The flowers never arrived. So I had to get my concierge guy, who was the best in town, Michael Printy. I'll tell you, this guy got me roses in 40 minutes.
Wow.
Wow.
And then his people, I went up there, put it all up, set it all up, and it's beautiful. It'll probably be on the blast.com probably within the next day or two anyways. But I'm telling you, it was just something else. It was just something.
Aww.
It was great to be a part of it. And then they had probably they had 40 friends come up right after they did it. They were all hanging out at the bar. She didn't have a clue. And then,
Wow, so the people were already here.
oh, they were there. They were there for an hour at the bar drinking.
just-
They all came up, and it had to be one of the best looking crowds. The girls were
sure.
beautiful. The guys were all GQ-ish
Oh, yeah.
types. I mean,
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
Yeah, her
You
friend
know.
invited. So they came here for the birthday, and then they invited us to. It was a housewarming party, and like I said, being from Detroit, I was like, I bought a gift for them. So like, and it was just like one of these like little tree of life things that you'd put on your wall. But they looked at me like I was crazy because people in Vegas
Being respectful. They don't do
they're
that.
just
Yeah,
like,
they're like, yeah, no one gives a
you
shit.
brought us a gift. Like we don't even
Bottle
have-
of wine don't do.
Yeah, they're like, they
shots.
actually. Hey, one thing I'll give them, they had topless
Yeah,
bartenders.
she had a topless
That-
bartender.
that-
so,
that-
and
that
there
was,
other ladies in the adult industry there.
So what? So going from the D to Circa is the Circa Derek's baby? Does he still look at the
No,
D as?
because he's down at. Listen, we have meetings at today's ops meeting was at the D. We're still down at the D. I go down to the D when I have clients. Sometimes clients like to come and watch the band, and I've got to set that up because Derek built like an owner's box right beside the stage.
Wow.
So you're able to sit there and have the best seat in the house. So some of my big guys will gonna come in and sit there and just watch it. I have to arrange that. But I'm at Circa most of the time now because of the fact that that's the bigger place. I've got to help make that work.
Do you got any secrets? Is he looking at anything else down there? Or?
Listen, I think he's got his hands full right now.
Yeah.
We listen, 3 properties and downtown Las Vegas Event Center. Listen,
Oh, yeah,
not
I've
only
seen
does
it.
he have 3 casinos, he's got downtown Las Vegas Event Center.
Oh,
that can
wow,
hold
that's his as well?
15,000
Yep.
I
outdoor
like that venue. Yeah,
concert
yeah.
place. You know,
Nice.
we have
Super nice.
concerts this weekend.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, you put some of the best concerts out there. I mean, some of the biggest, some
Yeah.
big festivals. You know, Punk Rock Bowling comes down there 3 days straight, and you have 15,000 people down there.
And are you guys busy during Life is Beautiful?
Life is Beautiful. Sometimes we've either put a band in there before it happened, the same with EDC, or you use it as, or you used to, back in the day when we first did it, we used it for parking or a stop, you know,
Wow.
but
Yeah.
there's so much that property can turn into anything,
Yeah.
you know, but it's a full-fledged concert place.
I've seen him do all kinds of stuff. I've seen him. We actually went to they did a rave, Green Velvet. He put almost
was
like a
that
bubble.
him?
Yeah, that's.
Oh my god.
I'm
that
just
was
saying. I'm
so
saying that was
cool.
at the event center.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I didn't know what to expect because I'm like, they're on a rave. I think it was a company Revelation.
So I'll give you
Yeah.
a story about
Oh.
Revelation.
Yeah. And I'm like,
So Revelation had a hard time getting in there,
Yeah.
but I know the owner,
Yeah,
right?
he's a good
and
dude.
great guy. And they were having something down in the furniture building where they were doing a foam party.
Yep.
Thousands of kids, right? Thousands of people.
Oh,
So
that's right.
I took Derek, and he took his whole officer staff, and he took his wife, and we went down in a couple limos, right? And we walked through this. Now we're all in suits, right?
Yeah.
These kids are thinking, "What the hell's?"
Yeah, it's the
they
cops
haven't-
are here.
They
Like,
haven't, done,
where's the
they haven't
FBI?
done the foam. They haven't done the foam yet, right? And when Derek walks someplace, you know he's not a cop. You know he's somebody.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know,
It's
it's
definitely
pretty cool.
someone
Him and his
important.
wife walk through. You know,
Got
they
good
just
style with the suits.
they have
Yeah.
style. You know, they have style. They have an aura about them. You know, it's pretty crazy. But
Yeah.
you know he's somebody.
Yeah.
So I get him up, and they say, "Bring him on stage." So we bring him up to the stage. Then they start the foam. It was probably one of the coolest things they ever seen. And from that moment on, Revelation ended up starting to do more concerts with us, and now they're great. They come in and they do a bunch of concerts a year with us.
Yeah.
And it's awesome.
Yeah,
It's a
we
good
went
company.
down there and it was kind of crazy because I'm like, Green Velvet, he's huge in Detroit. Never really seen him out here. He kind of got big, I think, from Revelation bringing him down here. But I didn't know what to expect. And I mean, we went
That
there and
was
it was
one
just,
of the
it was
best
popping.
shows.
All ages too. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
is this going to be a bunch of like 18-year-olds? And everybody was down there. And I mean,
And he's a
It's also a safe place. I mean, it's unbelievable when you go down. It's a good time. Security's great. Everything's good there. You don't have to worry about any problems.
very organized.
Well, it's just the way it's laid out. Everybody's down to have a good time. They're not down to cause problems. Well, I mean, we put we had the 80s and 90s concerts in there. We had, all Naughty by Nature, all that type
all of
of,
them.
of time frame music, you know, and rap. You know what? It was one of the coolest crowds that we had down there, and not one problem.
And that's the thing too. It's like Fremont Street. It's like, you know, you kind of got to watch out when you're down there.
Fremont Street, you know, everybody says it's old Vegas. It's not old Vegas.
No.
Stop calling it old Vegas.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
That's why I didn't want to say that. I didn't want to say anything bad about downtown. It's just Circa. It's just
downtown.
It just looks like you took the newest property on the Strip and just moved it over there.
Yeah,
it's a whole different world.
It's downtown. It's been around a long time, you know, and that's it. I mean, it's just. You think 44 million people come a year to Vegas. Do you know over 50% come downtown?
Yeah.
So that's a big deal. And I guarantee you right now, it's probably more like 60 to 65% because you're coming to see Circa.
Oh, yeah.
You're definitely coming to see. And the fact that we're 21 and older is the beautiful thing. We got.
Oh, that's right. So the whole property is
praised on social media.
I actually got one funny story because, like I was telling you before, it's very rare that I get out with people. I'm very introvert. And when the D brought in the Coney, you know, I was like, you know, I'm like, I have 3 friends. So I'm like, Doma, I'm like, you gotta try this Coney Island at the D. And she's like, well, you know, what's that? And I'm like, you just gotta come and try it. So we're walking into Fremont, and a fight with like 30 people breaks out in front. Nothing to do with the D, but just on Fremont. And she's like, see, you're bringing me to this Detroit shit and everything. And I'm like, this isn't Detroit shit. Like, I don't know what's going on.
It's Fremont shit.
We're still going to go around this. But she was like, yeah, this is fucking shit. This is Detroit people.
I was just like, is
But I was
this,
like,
is
and how
this
long ago was
hot
that?
dog
Long ago.
really?
That was
A while ago, yeah.
Yeah.
Was it worth it? But
No, it had nothing to do with the D Hotel. It was just the riff.
Well, Fremont's a lot more secure now, too. And
Yes.
they've got
Oh,
a
no,
lot
it
more
was- this
security.
was
They got bagged
fresh,
checks, all that
fresh.
stuff.
I mean, pretty much right when that Coney came because she didn't understand
right in the
what,
beginning,
what
yeah.
a Coney was, and I'm like, you gotta see this shit. I'm
hey,
like,
but now when I go to Detroit, oh yeah, that's the
Now you
first
know.
stop I go to.
yeah. So, that's
Man, well, we're pretty much more than out of time, but we appreciate you stopping by and
thanks for having me.
give them social media so they can check you out and check out these crazy stories you got
at
going on.
richardwilk.com. Just follow me on Instagram or Twitter at richardwilk.com. That's it. And you'll be able to see kind of the life that I create and lead and have fun with.
Yeah, and I told him, Super James, we're gonna sometime after our camera crew gets back into town on the 10th. You know, we'd love to come down there. You
Come
know,
do
just
some B-roll.
yeah, just
Can my OnlyFans ladies, can we do some pool stuff or?
Well, let's just say
Berries.
you mean maybe like some bikini stuff.
Yeah, you
That's
got to be
it, right?
specific. You gotta be
Yeah.
specific.
I want to get it clear on the table. Put it on the table right now.
Safer
Okay? Just,
content.
yes. G-rated, right?
Maybe some feet content. Who knows?
Okay. I don't know anything about that, but G-rated, you ladies in a bikini is perfectly fine.
Okay, perfect.
That's no problem. But I mean, when Donnie comes in, you should come down and have dinner with him.
Oh yeah, no,
Oh,
I
yeah.
had
I
said
end up
that
comping
before.
it anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Hey, I told her. I said I was like, you should tell him, like, you know what? He'll never understand how we're friends with Donnie, and like Donnie is a legitimate friend.
He would love her.
No, he does.
Oh, he
Yeah.
does.
Oh, I can
he
see that already.
does.
No, Donnie. When I introduced him to her, I mean, he's just a funny guy, man, and he.
I think he's in another week or so during NASCAR. He's always in during that. He brought Kevin Harvick in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I think
he
was Donnie, and I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I hear so many different stories, but I just remember, you know, as I was hanging out again, I don't ask people, I don't care, I don't know, and you know, it was a big deal. I think that Donnie, got Chef Barry, or that was part of the deal.
Well,
to get him
so
something.
Donnie used to go to 9 all the
9,
time.
yes.
Right, and the big deal is that Chef Barry was the famous chef at 9.
Mm-hmm.
Yassine and Marco was the management team, and then Donnie was a client. So the
Yes.
fact that the 4 of them got together, they're the owners of Barry's, and Chef Barry's he's the chef.
Yeah, well, that's what Donnie said to me one day. He's like, I'm opening something up in a casino. I didn't even know what he did. I'm just like, here's this guy from Wisconsin.
I'll tell you, it's the hottest celebrity hotspot. Does that make sense? A celebrity hotspot in Vegas because it's got good food, it's got great service, and the atmosphere is fun. And that's what drives everybody there. And you never know who you might see at Circa.
That's
a big deal.
Big thing
We did
right
that
there.
at the D forever.
Yeah.
You
Yes.
know? And Andiamo still stays strong. It's smaller.
And something I
but it
can
still
tell
stays
you,
strong.
all my friends you know, from famous people to not famous people. All my friends from Detroit stay at the D. I mean, it's so funny to me because I'm just like, you guys come from Detroit and there you're at the D. And
I
they're
used
like,
to say the D
it.
has a 5-star restaurant,
Mhm.
and it's got a 5-star atmosphere because with dancing dealers and loud music and sports playing,
It's always good.
how do you go wrong?
Right.
It was the
right.
model that we started with.
It's that
Well,
now
it
it's on
started with Golden
steroids.
Gate,
I was gonna say it's
Then it went
steroids
to
now.
the D, which got bigger.
Yeah.
Now it went to Circa.
Yeah, yeah.
And Circa was like
Just
crazy.
Exploded
And
it.
Circa just sounds cooler.
Circa is cool.
Okay.
Circa
Where
is
can we find you at Domo Monster?
Domo Monster 7 on IG.
And then I'm just on the Green Room Radio, as everyone knows. I got my
True got hijacked.
Yeah,
His Instagram got
when
hijacked.
guys try to DM the page thinking they're talking to me.
You're talking to Chiefs. You're thinking you're getting this, but you're getting this.
Yeah, I've had to go. She's actually on there too. But
I'm on there.
no,
but
I get
it's-
some messages
it's
that are
funny.
alarming to me.
It's
Sometimes
funny.
I'm like,
They'll be like, hey.
As long as they're not sending in pictures.
Yeah.
You probably got a couple of those too.
you know, no pictures yet. I'm like, I'm gonna have to
See.
disclose.
And, you know, this is new news. We don't know all the specifics on
Yeah,
it,
I
but
was gonna
rest
say.
in power, Coolio.
Yeah,
if
man.
this
Good
is
good
all
friend of ours,
true.
good friend of the show. I know you mentioned
Yeah,
you've done a
Coolio
ton of
came in
stuff.
on the album.
And he's
59 years old. And earlier this afternoon, they found
One of the
him.
Coolio is one of the coolest guys out there.
Yeah.
I mean, he was so down to earth. Came in on the album all the time with his girl and had dinner and just was so nice. And when I comped it, he was like, "You don't have to do this." I'm like, "Yeah, you're Coolio.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
You're Coolio. I'm
Yes,
doing
I
it."
do.
You know, and it's-
yeah, I know I don't have to, but
I
I'm
feel
definitely doing
I
it.
don't-
that's a
did-
loss. Like the music world and
man.
the world lost a good
we
Just entertainment in
did
general.
Yeah.
New Year's with him. He came here like
So-
saying on my birthday. He actually
that's pretty cool.
performed
That's pretty
Gangster's
cool.
Paradise on my birthday, but he was holding back a little. He was like, no, I get paid for this, but it was just such a cool vibe.
He said,
That was-
he
that was
said the
always his
energy
thing.
was so good in here with
Yeah.
15 people. He's like, I just had to perform.
That was always his thing. I'm not going to do it for free, and then he does 4 songs.
Yeah.
Because he
You guys-
just,
but
he
you
just
guys make-
loved the music.
Listen, you got a cool studio here. This is
Yeah.
badass. All the different
Thank
little rooms. It's awesome. I saw your room. That's
Yeah.
pretty crazy. But I mean, we were talking.
yeah, that's
True, and I were talking in your room. That was kind of
Yeah.
weird. But
I create that vibe.
I see that. But I mean, just in general, I mean, you guys make it comfortable in here. It makes it very easy to talk.
Yeah.
You know, and you're not trying to dig at anybody. You're not trying to pull out the worst of people.
Yeah.
It makes it easy.
It's good
So-
vibes.
Yeah, we
That's
just
good
really
vibes.
want to bring good people and get good energy and you know, put Vegas somewhere on the map. You know, like there's not too many people out there that are, you know, taking on local businesses and just talking about all the good things and, you know, referencing. I'm just gonna throw this out there. I almost canceled today, and I'm like, I'm glad it was
Yeah.
you because, you know, I got the news with Coolio, and I mean, I've been choked up. I drove back from LA today, and then I see that, and you know, but then on the flip side, I feel very blessed because she had a show
I
about
had
a
it,
month
yeah.
ago, and I don't normally go, and I went because it was in Detroit, and I have a sister there, and you know, I was in the strip club, and someone said, hey, you know, Coolio and Tone Loc are across the street, and I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna hit him. So I hit him up, and we were never able to make it over there. But then he hit us up right after the show, and he's like, hey, so we ended up getting in an Uber and went to downtown
and we
Detroit.
hung out with him in his
So I feel
hotel.
so blessed that I got that opportunity.
And
you know.
he like showed us new music he was working on. You know what was pretty impressive about him? He was not drinking. And he even was talking about like how, you know, he's sober, so now he's really focused on his career.
He's very fit.
But
you know,
he
that's
was,
Yeah.
I mean, he had
But you got the
told
real
us.
Coolio. You
He-
got the real
oh,
side,
the
the
real
real, you know, and
side, and
the legit.
It's
side
really
of him.
sad because he was just like, yo, he's like, I want to make $1 million. He's like, I want to go hard. He was very happy about this Europe trip that he had. And I mean, it's just,
You know, I told her we've been around
Alarming.
Coolio so much. One of my fondest memories ever is just the randomness. And so I was having, you know, I had a few people over at my house one night, and he just comes in, walks right in. Everybody's like,
He's the king of not knocking. He just comes in. If the door's open, he's in there.
everybody's like, I'll never
He's in
forget.
there.
I'm gonna have the picture up next week. But he came in and he was wearing an Irish kilt, and I had a whole house full of like OnlyFans type of girls, and they were
Oh,
like,
he got the word that
Yeah.
you were.
Yeah, that's why he was in there.
and he
Yeah.
said he was like, and they were like, did you? He walked right in the house, didn't say shit to anybody, took a garbage bag. I'll never forget this. Opened my refrigerator, threw every processed food away, and he's throwing away all the bullshit. And he's like, I'm going to make everybody dinner. And he somehow from scratch created this crazy meal. And everybody's like, how much did you pay him to do that? And I'm like, nothing.
He loved cooking.
I'm like,
That's a great story. I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, he had a cooking show for a while. His own cooking show.
That's a great story.
But I'm like, I don't.
How do you
beat that story?
The greatest story was funny was when he came to. So we did a party and a virtual party because we were streaming on YouTube, and we knew he was coming, but like we didn't tell everybody else. And there was this guy, Derek. We just ran into him at Life is Beautiful, but it was funny because the guy was like, "Hey," he's like, "What's up?" He's like, "I'm gonna let you in," and then he said Coolio, but he thought he said Julio, so he was calling him. He's like, "Man," he's like, "Julio." He's like, he looks like somebody. He
doesn't look like a Julio.
I was sitting in this back. I was sitting in this
yeah.
back room, and he goes, "Hey, man." He goes, "I'm just gonna let you know." He's like, "I was outside." He's like, "This black guy." He's like, "He looks super gangster," and he's like.
And then,
so I told him he could come in, and he's like, he goes. So I was like trying to keep it low key, and he goes, and he just did this thing on the stripper pole, and he's like, it was fucking.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
he's like, you get the pass, and and I'm like, who is this? And he's like, Julio.
No,
I'm like,
wait. Hey, but look, so then he grabbed the mic. He grabbed the mic, and then they were like, because there was other DJs performing. We had Scribble, and he's like about to go on the mic, and then the other guy was like, "Yo," he was like trying to mic check him, and then he started getting into it. And he was like, "He's not Julio, he's Coolio." And then the other guy was like, he's like, "I just mic checked Coolio." He's like, "What the fuck?"
See, and this is the thing. This is great that we can laugh about stories and memories that all of us had with them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the coolest part about it.
I told.
What'd you find?
Oh God! Oh my God! There
I
it
guess
is.
you could show that now.
Oh my God! That's what I said here. I mean, no, driving here, like I said, I almost called today off, and I was like, you know what? I said I'm definitely gonna go through quite a grieving process over this, but. You know what I told her is I said,
wouldn't want you to grieve.
No, and the thing that I told her is I said, the thing that it really reminded me of is just how nice he was to everybody.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it just tells me, be nice to people. This is how you live your life, and good things happen.
I love hearing that because The Rock does it all the time.
Just be
anybody
nice
at
to
that
people.
level, like Coolio, The Rock, anybody that's famous, when they tell you just be nice, be kind to people, and they're genuine about it.
Yeah, they
means so much because that's how I work.
Yeah.
If you're nice to people, and I try to teach my kids this, be nice to people. It doesn't take anything more to be nice to people, and you know what? You never know who you're being nice to.
Right.
You
That's
never
the
know
big
whose
thing right
day
there.
you change because you're nice to somebody. And you know what? If we can all pass that on, there's a better life out there for a lot of people.
Yeah.
You don't know who's hurting.
Yeah.
You don't know. You don't know. People look up to you because of people you've known, people you've dealt with, and then all of a sudden they get a chance to talk to you, and sometimes we think, I'm nobody. But at the same time, who we take care of or we know, these people will never get a chance to.
Yeah.
So if I can help somebody, or if I can get something signed by a WWE star for somebody's kid or something like that, why not?
Yeah.
They're glad to do it. People are glad to do things like that. So
100%.
why not do that? So when you can stress that and be nice, do it.
Yeah.
It'll get you a lot farther in this world. I mean, in this culture,
Yeah.
we all got to do that.
Yeah, I posted. I don't know if you saw it on my story, but I saw Flavor Flav. Actually, he was in Toronto, and he was walking along taking pictures with people. And I actually sent her the video, and I said I put on there like character and integrity, but I'm like, he genuinely, not only did he take the quick picture, he looked him in the eyes. He cared about what they, and had a moment with each person. He didn't just breeze through anything. And I was like, that's the guy that I want to be like.
You know who's like that? And I'll end with this.
Yeah.
Dana White.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dana White doesn't forget where he came from. Came from nothing to where he is today.
Yeah.
He's a super George. We call it George is a big tipper in the casino business, right? Goes in a restaurant, he'll tip more than the check.
The bill. Yeah.
He takes all his UFC fighters from Ultimate Fighter. He would take 30 of them in there. He'd tip more than the bill, and make sure everybody got tipped out of it.
Right. Not just, yeah.
He could be in the worst mood ever. I've never seen him really in a bad mood, but he could be in a worse mood.
He's got a tough job, too.
If somebody says, Dana, can I get a picture? Guess what?
He's taking the picture.
He takes that picture.
Yeah.
wherever we are, and I've been around the United States with him. Anywhere we are, anybody stops him, he gives them his time of day.
Feels blessed to be in that position.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that's grateful, and that's great, and I love seeing that.
Yeah.
And you learn from that. So I mean, we can all do it. 4 of us sitting here. I mean, we can easily change people's lives for the better.
And how can we find you, Super James?
At DJ Super James.
DJ Super
So
James.
we're looking forward to seeing you, man. I've been there a couple times. I don't really remember
We're
being
going
there
to
with him,
Legacy.
but we're I definitely want to check out the
I'm
spot.
gonna throw on a dress shirt.
Throw on-
Berries,
just- no,
we'll
you
do
just
berries
you
and
just
go to
just put a
Legacy.
polo shirt on.
That's what I'm gonna do.
Just put a polo shirt on and a pair of jeans.
We're gonna have to
That's
buy
all.
him one. He doesn't own one, but we'll buy him one. We'll get that
We'll have to
taken
get him
care
a
of.
circle one. Never mind.
Yeah, there you go. Just
Yeah, we'll
get
get him a
him one of
circle.
those.
Give me the
Yeah.
circle one. I
Thank you
got
so
it.
much, man. I know
My
you're
pleasure.
crazy busy.
Peace out.
We
Thanks for
appreciate
having
your
me.
time.
Right.
Thank you guys for checking in.
Thank you.